started here, we'd like to welcome Jordan Spieth into the interview room at the 2021 Valero Texas Open. Jordan's making his sixth start at the event, where he has two top tens, including a runner-up in 2015. Jordan coming off a appearance in the round of 16 last week at the WGC Dell Technologies match play. If we could just get an opening comment on your start here at the Valero Texas Open.
Yeah, it's kind of very convenient. You know, we were only about an hour 20 away, so it was spent kind of the weekend hanging in Austin, and then came down I guess Sunday evening and tested and all that. So excited for this week, obviously leading into next week. So trying to just keep progressing, keep working on what I'm working on, and try to get myself into contention and have a chance to win on the weekend.
All right, with that, we'll open it up to questions to media that we have on the line. If you have a question, please type your name into the chat window, and I will call on you. We'll start with Brian Wacker of Golf Digest. Go ahead, Brian.
Hey, Jordan. You mentioned, next week, obviously. Just curious, how would you describe where you're at this week going into the Masters versus, say, the last couple of Masters?
Yeah, I think definitely in a better place. Feel really good tee to green. Trying to continue to progress and get that even better and tighter, especially with wedge distance control. I've driven the ball really well the last few tournaments on some pretty difficult driving golf courses. And but for me, I've got to get a lot of work in on my short game. So that's, I've hit the ball better the last few tournaments than I did even on the West Coast, but just kind of lost a little confidence at the players after not seeing any putts go in, and started to kind of feel a little bit better about it throughout the match play. But just got some work to do on my stroke, and then just dial in some short game shots that I may just have kind of taken my mind a little off of with a lot of swing work. So just fine tuning the short game is going to be kind of number one priority, and any kind of technique work on the swing, try and kind of get that out the next couple days, and then spend the next 10 just in game mode, just similar to what I've done in previous years. But yeah, I feel in a better place than leading into the last couple Masters. But you go there, I expect it to be a very different Masters than what we've seen in the last couple. Rumors that I've heard already are that it's already firm and fast 2-3 weeks out from the golf tournament. So I think it'll play significantly different, and I'm looking forward to that challenge.
Thanks. Next question will go to Mark Cannizzaro from New York Post.
Jordan, thanks for doing this. Hey, I'm just curious with regard to the last Masters last year, so to speak, in November, how different that was, what your anticipation was in leading into it, and kind of what you came away, what were your memories of the November Masters, as unique as it was?
Yeah, it was different, right? The patrons are such an integral part of that tournament that, without them, without the roars, the golf course certainly played very different from what we're used to seeing, but there's really nothing you could do about it. And it was still a phenomenal golf course in unbelievable shape, with its own unique set of challenges with how soft and fast the greens were, having to kind of take extra club and saw them off when some years you're trying to throw something way up in the air to get it to stop. So it presented its own unique set of challenges, but all in all, you kind of got a little bit away with more. And so going into it, it was kind of almost exciting. It was like, wow, we can go out and I can look at number 11 as potentially a birdie hole, because my 5-iron will stop where it lands, with the conditions we have. So, it was exciting in that sense, but without the patrons, it just wasn't the same. And I'm glad we're able to at least have, to whatever percentage it'll be, patrons that are there will make it feel like normal, even if it's not at full capacity. So I'm looking more forward to this one than I was maybe in November. But the Masters is the Masters, and they give out a jacket at the end of it, and it's a dream come true situation. So it doesn't matter when it's played and who's there. I mean, it's you against the golf course in the field. But that Sunday I teed off on the back nine late, and maybe with the second or third to last group off the front nine, and I know what that feeling's like off the front nine normally, and to just kind of see it the way it was, hopefully it doesn't happen again, but it was just kind of eerie and quiet. But this year should feel a lot more normal.
If I could just jump in with just a follow-up on yourself. You mentioned a moment ago to Brian, how much better you're feeling going into this form-wise and mentally and whatnot. Are you one of these people, because of the success you've had at Augusta, like Phil, for example, who always talks about when he drives down Magnolia Lane, he gets this just feeling of comfort because the course suits him and he's had success there. Are you somebody that automatically feels that as soon as you get there because of the way you've played there?
Yeah, I think so. When it's normally Monday for me, when I get there, drive down Magnolia Lane, it's like, for me, it's like, oh, it's go time. It's almost like, regardless of form, regardless of, if you just won or if you've missed the previous cut, it really makes no difference to me when in my confidence level when I pull into Magnolia Lane. It's just such a unique golf course in that it's a lot of shot making versus what you get in a lot of other places, and then the greens require just so much imagination. It almost just feels like a totally different game sometimes there. And I've had chances to win after, like I said, missing the cut in the previous week, like I think in 14 and 16, and I've come in off of a couple seconds and played well as well. So it's I'm looking to build up a little bit to be able to taper down next week as far as amount of golf balls hit and amount of focus on technique, so that when I get there I can just kind of go through the gates in Magnolia Lane, go down that first day and just say, all right, we're here to play this week.
Thanks, Jordan. Have a good week.
Thanks.
Dylan DeChair, golf.com.
Yeah, hey Jordan. So you used to putt, and I don't think you do right now, but that's probably what I'm wondering. You would look at the hole when you were hitting short putts. I was wondering if you still ever do that, and if not, why you went away from it?
Yeah, I haven't really been doing it. I used to do it because it would take kind of the thinking about kind of start line out of it, and instead just be outwardly focused. And then I got to where I think in like 2018, my eye line and alignment got really off to where I wasn't making them when I was looking at the hole. So I got away from that, and now I'm in an ideal world I don't need to do that. That was just kind of a compensation to just be more field biased, and it was kind of a good weapon to have. And I haven't really needed to use it lately. I've been getting through strokes fine and hitting my lines regardless of the length of putt. Just been so yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of something that might be on and off here and there.
Cool. And then you throw left-handed, correct?
Yes.
Do you think that affects your golf swing in an interesting way?
I don't think so. I think it has maybe something to do with putting and a little bit on kind of wedge play, just using my left hand through the ball to hold. I mean, when I'm playing well, when I'm hitting wedges well, chipping well, putting well, there's a lot of kind of covering the ball and holding through with my left hand versus any kind of rotation and flip, like some guys do. And so I think just that reliance on that left hand for my feel on short game is maybe the only thing I could think of. But other than that, no, I probably would be better for me to be right-handed for a golf swing just because of the sling that you use. But it could be advantageous in the short game. I don't really know.
Say lefties play well at Augusta, but
Yeah.
play from the left side.
And I think that has to do with the fact that on those, quite a few of those par threes are left-handed par threes, where if you kind of miss it out to the left, it's going shorter. If you miss it to the right, it's going further. So holes like 12 and 6 and 4 are just massively better holes for left-handers. Not throwing-wise, but golfing left-handers.
Totally. Thanks,
Just on the
Jordan.
physics of it.
John Whistler with the Express News. Go ahead.
Hey, Jordan. I just wanted to ask you about if you could talk a couple minutes about this course here and this tournament, and your feelings about each of them.
Yeah, golf course here is really challenging. I mean, it's very rare you get to play it without a 15-mile-an-hour wind. It looks like we're going to get that again this week. And so it's just a really difficult driving golf course. You can't make many mistakes off the tee. You got to be hitting fairways, because it's not just like, bunkers on one side. A lot of holes you have that rocks and that brush off both sides of the fairway. So you got to drive it straight in the wind, and then from there, it gets dicey and different places you miss around these greens. So you can feed balls into holes and make birdies, but if you miss those spots, you can get into some trouble. So tee to green is just a very, very fun challenge. The closing holes are awesome. I mean, you got an opportunity. You got a really tough par 4 and 15, and then you go to 16, that kind of cool hole with the bunker in the middle, and then 2 birdie opportunities to finish. So you just get kind of a mix and match of trying to stay alive for some of the course, and then trying to take advantage of other parts of the golf course. And the tournament itself, I've loved it. I've felt a lot of support here, a lot of University of Texas support coming from Austin, and just a lot of Texas in general. I mean, Texans like to root for Texans is what I've found over the years here, whether it's Ryan Palmer, guys that I've been paired with in tournaments like this in the past, and it's a blast to play in the state of Texas. I've always really, really enjoyed that extra support.
And just to follow up, I know you want to win and play well, but is it just as important for you just to play? Are you one of the guys who likes to play the week before the Masters?
I've played every time into the Masters. It's not like I feel like I have to do that. I just felt, I'm in a good spot. Each tournament round, I'm gaining a little bit more confidence. I'm learning a little bit about kind of where things are at, and on-course repetitions are different than practice repetitions. And so if I can just progress just a little bit that much quicker. So a lot of it had to do with kind of the state of where I'm at right now, and the idea that, I feel if I can stay the course and just get my chipping and putting, moving the right direction, then I can have a chance to win this week. And when you work your way into contention, that's where you start to then feel more comfortable each time you get into contention. And that's always a great thing leading into a major. So all that are goals. And, the next couple days is about doing what I can in practice leading into that, and then go out there and play.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we will go to Bill Pennington with the New York Times. Go ahead, Bill.
Hi, Jordan. This has typically been a tournament that takes experience with the golf course to win. You've won at a young age, and there are now a lot of players in their mid-20s or so who've proven to be serious contenders. Is wisdom about the golf course getting easier to acquire? Is your generation just faster learners? What's going on there, you think?
I think outside of Augusta National, it is getting easier to acquire with greens books, very detailed yardage books with pictures on it, on them. And then you just kind of have to recognize which side of the green to which pin is a bad miss. But you have all that information in greens books on reads that might be tricky, and you have all that information in these very detailed picture yardage books that we carry now. But Augusta doesn't allow those. You don't have either one of those. And so if it's playing soft, if you get rain and Augusta's playing soft, I think it requires a little bit less of the course knowledge. And if it's playing really firm, I think it requires more. That's what I've found in, the whatever 7 or 8 years that I've played it now in both circumstances. I've played it well both ways, and I felt like I needed to have a lot more course knowledge and focus on, where what shot to work into a hole to where if it doesn't quite work out, it's missed in the correct spot. It's just a lot of, like, you're obviously trying to make aggressive swings at, slightly conservative targets, but you get away with more when it's a little bit softer if you're short-sighted and stuff like that. So I think it's going to depend on these next couple weeks leading in if they get the weather that will make the golf course really firm, or if you get rain and it ends up hurting those chances.
But I'm curious, does it feel like your brothers your age are getting comfortable sooner than other people did at that same age?
I'm not sure. I can only speak to myself on that. The only other kind of person in my age that I can maybe relate to, somebody who I talk to a lot, is Justin. And I know that both of us kind of just come out expecting to have a chance to win, wherever we've played since we were 13, 14 years old. I don't think that's any different with any of these other young guys. And you saw, some really young guys in last year in the Masters in November have a chance to win. With Sung Jae up there, I think Abraham Answer up there, guys who had either played it once before or hadn't played the Masters. So I wouldn't be surprised going forward if you end up getting a first-time winner at some point, or a number of young guys that are able to do it. It's a tough walk. It's one of the toughest walks on tour. So as much as that course takes out of you, mentally, just being there, being the Masters, physically it can be a toll too. So you'd think that guys that are kind of in their mid-20s would be, in the best position physically. But I mean, guys now are taking care of themselves to where, look at not to call Lee Westwood, not in his mid-20s, but he's not in his mid-20s, and he's able to compete week in and week out on very difficult tracks. So golf's just it's in a cool place right now. I think for a tournament like the Masters, somebody could be 21, 22 and win, and somebody could be 45 and win, and everywhere in between. You could name off a number of players who, going in, you'd say, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that guy won.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Doug Ferguson, Associated Press.
Jordan, we talked amongst ourselves about how weird it is to be going back to the Masters 5 months after we were just there, but I'm just curious if the players think the same way. Does it feel weird at all to you, or is it just a normal Masters?
I think this one just feels kind of like a normal Masters. I kind of forgot that we didn't play it last April, and I kind of looked at last November as just a bonus, like a bonus Masters. I think, once we're on the grounds, the fact that it wasn't a full year, but, with patrons allowed, I think once you start seeing crowds in the practice rounds like other years, it'll start to almost, again, feel like November was just the odd man out, and it'll feel like just a normal Masters. Just leading into it. I mean, once the tournament starts, I'm sure it'll feel weird again. I mean, I think it's just kind of it's real. I think all players are really excited that we were able to play it, and be able to play 2 Masters in 5 or 6 months. I mean, that's that hopefully will never happen again. And you kind of, I mean, as many times as we can go play a tournament on that golf course, I'm going to be excited. So it might feel a bit odd to be there so soon, but guys take a lot of different trips. And the only one I kind of feel bad about for it is Dustin, because, unless he were to repeat, he didn't get the jacket for more than 5 months unless they let him keep it till next November. So that's kind of a bummer for him. But yeah, it'll be odd, but I think it'll feel more just back to normal.
All right, and the other thing, you were downstairs in the locker room for 2 years. You've been upstairs ever since. What's the biggest difference, biggest perk?
I think it's more just the bragging rights, walking off the practice round green, saying, "Oh, you guys are going over there. I'm going to go over here." They're great food, same lockers. I mean, I get to share a locker with Arnold Palmer. That's obviously a perk. But other than bragging rights, I mean, there's no special juice they give you up there that makes you play better or anything like that. So it's just kind of a cool, unique room to be in where you'll walk in and you might see Jack Nicklaus in there, on Thursday or Friday, and he might just, give you a pointer or something for that day. I mean, it just, you kind of run into those opportunities that you wouldn't get if you weren't up there.
Thank you.
Stephen Neglio, USA Today.
Jordan, by any chance, have you been to Augusta since November?
I went in December. I do a trip every December, but I hadn't been since then. Typically make a round there in March, but I didn't do it this year with the schedule I played. I've only had 1 week off after 3 and 4 week stretches, so didn't get the chance to do so this spring.
And is there any difficulty at all playing this week and not looking forward to next week, or not thinking ahead and getting ahead of yourself?
I don't think I don't think I get ahead of myself. I think, it's all in plan to peak for the majors, so it's certainly on my mind to be progressing towards something, but I'm trying to, the best way to prepare for next week is to win this week. That's the most confidence you can gain out of this week is to win. So it's looking forward to next week only drives me more for this week. So I don't think there's difficulty in letting my mind wander and having that effect in any negative way. In fact, if anything, it could only, drive me to do a little bit more this week to taper off next week.
Perfecto. Thanks, big man.
All right, Jordan, those are all the questions we have. We appreciate your time and best of luck this week.
All right, thanks, Jack.